What up traders, what up investors, Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and we're looking at one of the most ridiculous waste of monies I've seen in a very long time. Again, coming from the Wallstreetbets forum. User posted 1234, entrepreneur 1234. Don't know if this is fake, but basically saying bulls are completely effed here, and basically suggesting that there's a huge market crash coming and he's going to be making a pile of money. But when we come down to his account, $1.3 million account, down nearly 5%, basically going full full imbecile, and the lack of putting all his eggs in one basket and putting it all in UVXY, which is a VIX shorting, ultra short supply thing. So basically, what he's betting on is a very strong correction coming in. This is not options. He's doing it with 48,000 shares of this. So we can go ahead and jump into UVXY in a second. Basically, this is a ongoing ProShares ETF that will kind of track the VIX, and it will spike up drastically if the overall VIX goes up as well. So we can go ahead and we'll just go ahead and to jump into this chart here. Again, giving a full update here on SPY. SPY is looking pretty strong here. We're trying to break above that 323 level, potentially to new highs, not new highs, but breaking out of this wonderful purgatory box that we called it via our live streams. We talked about these boxes quite a bit in a very tight trading range here, looking for it to really kind of bust out with, again, a lot of earnings coming out this week. This really can get the momentum to push higher. Let's go ahead and jump to UVXY. So again, this thing is basically, so when volatility spikes up, this thing goes through the roof, aka what you saw back in the lows of the pandemic. This is basically the inverse of the S&P 500. So if the S&P 500 crashes with heavy volatility and to the downside, this thing will go to the moon. So this individual, again, betting $1.3 million, again, already down 75K as we speak as of Friday, and even down another 5% today. So another 75 to 80K, being down $140,000 already in 2 days on a position. I don't know if he has the cojones to hold it, because we're breaking to all-time lows in the last couple months in the VIX here. So again, what this happens is if there's volatility in the market, aka the fear gauge that you can kind of hear a lot of people talk about, this thing will go through the roof. And this normally is a huge indication of a lot of market volatility. Going to be really the formula to kind of see on how people are viewing the market. What is the percentage of investors willing to put money into? Lower this goes, as you can see here, previously it got down to $10 before the pandemic. Again, that was that run in the beginning of the year. We had stocks going into all-time highs. This can easily go back down to $10. I don't think it's going to come down to $10 that fast, but with elections on the horizon, basically out in November, we have a lot of other things that could be coming out to potentially add a little volatility. Do I see it coming back up to 100? I don't know. Again, I don't have a crystal ball here, but it's not very likely. These are once in every 4 or 5 years you get a huge spike like this, and I don't think the guy has a fortitude to hold for that long, because especially this particular ETF is the short ETF, where it literally just really gets ripped apart if just grinds lower. So you can kind of go to a weekly side. And it constantly gets rebalanced. So what it was $10 last year doesn't really mean what the value was the previous year, because it constantly gets rebalanced. It gets split. It gets different things like that kind of give. This is only really used to hold a trade for a very short period of time. You're not hoping and waiting for this as a long-term investment. This is really just like, hey, I think this week or even the end of the month, that we're going to get another strong correction or some kind of crash or something, and this is what the individual's betting on. That being said, again, I don't think he has a crystal ball. I don't think anyone has a crystal ball. So looking at just at the charts, it's really just kind of trending lower. There is no indications that, or even any fear in the market as of right now with how the S&P 500 is acting and how a lot of the other markets are going. We're going to get a lot more information again coming this week from Tesla, Chipotle, Microsoft. We got Snap on the boards. We have quite a few different airlines coming out as well. So this is going to give her a better picture of what the economy is doing. Again, things could jump up. This can easily jump up. Looking for a potential jump up to 35. Again, if it jumps to 35, that guy's going to make some money. But is it going to go to 135 again? It's going to take a lot of movement for that to happen. And I think he's really betting for like a 5 times X, but again, it's Wallstreetbets, so I'm not going to put too much common sense behind it and more logic of it. I think that again, the downside is still coming in. We're seeing some volume indicators coming up, but that trend is just trying to head lower. We're seeing the RSI and volume zone oscillator going lower. We're basically hitting a low ever since this whole pandemic kind of really took off. So that fear is really out of the market. The one I can look at the most is actually the VIX, the ETF. So let's go ahead and pull that sucker up. There it is. And you can see here, we just had a squeeze, it fired short, and it's just continued going lower here. This is, again, the straight gauge on it. We're seeing a lot of overhead resistance here. If it does want to kind of break out, it broke that 200-day here, continue further to the downside, not very likely to kind of poise back up. Usually if it wants to poise back up, it has to build a pretty strong base, and then it can just really take off. It doesn't just blow out of the quarter, blow out of the water right away. And it does have spikes here and there. We did have a spike basically the beginning of last month that really kind of jolted it higher. But it usually has to come down to some kind of correction here. That 200-day held, we did kind of see that bounce back. Then you saw a very strong momentum change. Then you saw the RSI really peak up with that day. Again, this is all about timing when you're trying to play the VIX. The VIX is all about timing. You're betting on that you're going to nail the correction within that week or that 2-week time span, even a month potentially. But you can be risking quite a bit, because most of the times betting on a correction and things like that is not the most well thought out. Maybe just looking at some other opportunities to buy instead of just trying to go short and trying to get that really good, that nice little pin on your chest saying, hey, I shorted the market and I nailed it. That's very difficult to do, and the percentage of the people that nail those calls are very few and far between. And again, if you nail these calls 2 or 3 times back to back, you can be a really, really rich individual, and there's not many people that I know that can do that. So that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate everyone coming out. We're definitely going to have a fantastic live stream on Wednesday. We're probably going to have some Chipotle. We're going to have some fun watching the Tesla earnings stuff come out. We're going to be doing some live streams regarding during market hours, and then, of course, after hours for the overall Tesla call. So we're going to have some fun with that. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're interested on joining the Patreon page, that's as well down below. If you want to help support the channel directly, you get a couple little Schmidt bits there. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.